and regaled in its elegance. I just added that. I don't know why I did that. But yeah, I hear it. No, this truck is awesome. And like you said, Matthew, it's a game changer because it adds a lot of things you wouldn't normally find in a heavy duty. As a matter of fact, this truck adds in 35 all new features comparing truck to truck from last year to this year. 21 of which are class exclusives. There's more than 100 standard or available safety and security features. I'm not going to detail all of them for you today, but what I am going to challenge you to do is pull out that product packet that you got and turn to the very last page. You'll see that the heavy duty is covered on the front and the back. There's a lot of information. Used to be we could cover all this material on one page. Not anymore. There's so much more to talk about when it comes to heavy duty. It's much more than just a truck to get work done. It's going to be everything for every customer. Now, one of the things I want to tell you, going into 2019, we've got a couple of mainstays, like cab configurations. We're still going to offer a regular cab, a crew cab, and a mega cab. We're now going to offer 6 very distinct trim levels, ranging from Tradesman to Bighorn / Lone Star for those of you from Texas, and then also the Power Wagon, the Laramie, the Longhorn, and the penultimate, the Limited. This thing is awesome, right? And not only that, but when you think about all the different trim levels, each of them have their own distinct styling. You'll be able to tell them apart very quickly out there in the row. However, this Tradesman doesn't look like a normal Tradesman, does it? No, absolutely not. It actually looks like a Bighorn, and 2 reasons why. It has the chrome appearance group on it, and it also has the safety group on it, which is going to give you the blind spot monitoring, which is coupled with the LED tail lamp. So we couple the LED headlamp with that, so your customer gets a very striking presence, although they're in their Tradesman trim, right? How many of you got inside that truck? Is it basic? No, it's anything but. It offers our customer a lot of great style and form and function inside that vehicle, and we'll talk a little bit more about that here in just a minute. Now, we still offer, like I said, in the 3 cab configurations, and we have 2 different box lengths. Of course, the 6-foot 4-inch box and the 8-foot box. We're still bringing in the Ram Box cargo management system, which is impressive, featuring the bed utility group, which gives you those movable cargo tie downs. It's still going to give you more than 48 inches between the box side walls to haul some of those building materials, but it gives you 7 cubic feet of storage no other truck maker offers. We're going to give you lockable lid, drainable storage on both sides of the truck. And new for 2019, on the driver's side, your customer's going to get 115-volt outlets capable of 400 watts to help keep a lot of those job site tools charged up, which is a really nice piece. Now, and that's, of course, that's only offered on the 6-foot 4-inch box. So it's either going to be mega cab or crew cab with the 6-foot 4-inch box, all right, and single rear wheel. Of course, you guys knew that. Now, all of that capability wouldn't really matter unless we could get that load down the road, right? And the powertrain is what's going to help us do that. We have 3 all-new powertrains this year, starting with our standard 6.4-liter Hemi, featuring a best-in-class horsepower rating of 410 horsepower and an impressive 429 pound-feet of torque, and is now mated to the world's first HD 8-speed automatic transmission. We're the only truck maker out there offering an 8-speed transmission in an HD truck. What do you think that'll do for us? Better fuel efficiency, capability, refinement, ride and handling, absolutely. A lot of those things are going to be awesome because I'm sure you like that 8-speed. We'll have time for questions in just a moment. That 8-speed does great things for our other FCA vehicles, and it's equally as impressive in these heavy duties. But that's made it to our gas engine. Now, for the customer who's going to opt for diesel power, there's 2 levels of output here. The standard output is 370 horsepower and an impressive 850 pound-feet of torque. And that's great. This made it to a 6-speed FCA transmission, but for customers looking to get to that best-in-class tow rating of 35,100 pounds, they're going to opt for that new 6.7-liter Cummins turbo inline 6-cylinder that produces 1,000 pound-feet of torque, which is best in class. That's 65 more than Ford, that's 100 more than Chevy, and so that's going to give us a huge leg up on the competition, especially for those customers who only look at the numbers printed on a piece of paper. They want the one that has the most, right? And that gives us the most in every category. Best in class gasoline and diesel, payload and towing capability in all categories amongst the 25 and 3500 set. So that's huge for us. Now, that 6.7-liter high output also has 400 horsepower, so we get a nice upgrade there as well. So your customer's going to have plenty of power underfoot, and that's going to be made into the 6-speed Ison transmission. And I know some of you are asking, wait a minute, you didn't mention that G56 6-speed manual. We no longer offer it in 2019. So some of you are going to ask, well, why not? We were the last manufacturer to still offer a manual. Take rates got lower and lower and lower, and they couldn't see the need for the investment to adapt it to the new Cummins engines. So for that reason, we're no longer offering the manual transmission, which really doesn't give us or take away the competitive advantage we have over GM and Ford. So we'll take your questions in just a moment. Hold on to them, write them down. One thing I do want to mention about the new Cummins turbo diesel is that engine has been redesigned. It now features a compacted graphite iron block, which makes it about 60 pounds lighter, stronger, and even more capable. So our customers are really going to like that. And if you've got less of that unsprung weight over that front axle, what's that do for ride and handling? Definitely improves it, right? So that's going to be a nice thing for the customer, being able to get a car-like ride out of a big heavy duty. Now, one of the other things that I love about the front of this truck, before I move into the interior and some of the things at the rear, is right out front. You see this big, bold and impressive grille, right? And how many of you like to change the word Ram? Right? I love it, right? And at first I was like, man, but I love it. And you can definitely tell it's a Ram coming down the road. There's no more guessing. And one of the unique things about that is what's behind that grille is and it's standard on gasoline and diesel engines, the active grille shutter system. That gives our truck the best-in-class aerodynamics in the heavy-duty set. Now, of course, heavy-duty trucks, not known for aerodynamics, but at least we're more aerodynamic than the other guys, all right? So, but that gives our customer a nice quiet ride as well, because we also use, not only do we slip through the wind better, but we also have laminated windshield and front door glass. So that's going to contribute to a nice quiet cabin inside when it comes to wind noise. Another nice thing that I'm going to mention out front before I move on are these tow hooks. These are standard on all diesel equipped models and all 3500s. They're standard on Power Wagon and optional on a couple of other trim levels. So customers are going to get that level of capability right out front. Safety and security is second to none in this truck as well. We're offering over 100 safety and security features, whether they're standard or available. Some of those things like rain brake support, ready alert braking, and new for 2019, your customer is going to get forward collision mitigation, which I'm sure some of you have experienced in some of our other products, right? And also, one of my favorite features, adaptive cruise control will full stop. And that's also going to give your customer that same safety capability, even when they've got that 35,000 pound trailer behind. How impressive is that? Right? And in order to bring that load to a stop, you've got to have big brakes. And we use some of the biggest brakes in the industry. We use a 14.7 inch rotor in the front, and we use a almost 14.1 inch rotor in the rear, which gives you a large swept area, a lot of brake pad volume, so your customers are going to get that best-in-class stopping distance for the heavy duty. So I think they're going to really appreciate the stopping power inside the vehicle. You'll notice right out front, you've got park sensors. We have front and rear park assist available on the vehicle, but customers who have a dual rear wheel model, let's say that 5 times fast, right? Will appreciate the extra detection zone around that fat wheelhouse there in the back, because they don't want to unintentionally damage their vehicle, and having that park sensor detect more of that zone there to protect it is going to be a nice feature for them. We now bring in blind spot monitoring and rear cross path detection, which we haven't had in a heavy duty before. We didn't have it in the half ton. I love it. It's a feature I've had in other vehicles, and once you have that, you come to rely on it, and so customers will like having that feature there as well. You've also got the availability of a 360-degree camera, which is going to give you a camera right out front under each mirror and also on the tailgate. It gives you a bird's eye view that is digitally stitched together so you can see everything around the truck. Any of you ever driven one of these 3500 dualies before? Right? A lot of you? Is it easy to see everything around the truck? It is now. It's a pretty impressive piece. And you'll notice, like on the side where the cameras are located under here versus under here like they are on the half ton, and that's because you need to be able to see around that wheelhouse there in the back, so that the camera is able to give you that bird's eye view around the vehicle. Another nice thing is we still offer the center high mount stop lamp camera for the cargo bed, so customers can hook up their fifth wheel or gooseneck by themselves. If you've ever used the help of somebody else, how frustrating can that be? Right? Being able to do it by yourself is a huge benefit and value. Another nice new feature for 2019 is we're bringing in the availability of a rear trailer camera, or a remote camera you can attach to the trailer, whether it be on the back of it or on the inside of that trailer, so that you can monitor the load. Like Dave mentioned last night, if you're hauling livestock, you want to be able to make sure those horses or those cattle or your goats are still where you put them, right? Absolutely. So a really nice feature, and that's a late availability item. One other nice safety feature that I think that I'll appreciate on my dual axle bass boat is tire pressure monitoring for trailer tires. That'll be something that you can order right through your parts department. It's a late availability item, but being able to monitor up to 12 tires. Like for a guy who's hauling a really long landscape trailer, he's got a big piece of heavy equipment on there, and being able to monitor that is going to be huge. Knowing whether or not you've got a tire going down before you lose it. And you've seen them on the side of the road, right? Not the easiest tires to change, and some of them don't even have spares. So you see them just parked on the side of the road with a jack underneath them. So now they'll be able to detect that before they run themselves into trouble. Now, when it comes to the interior, it is going to be one of the quietest interiors, not just because of the laminated glass, but also because of some of the things we do. We use active noise cancellation on all models now. So there's speakers in the headliner that pick up that engine noise and then send out a non-audible signal to you and I. Your dogs can't hear it either. And so to help cancel out that engine noise. One of the other nice things they do for gasoline-powered models that have the MDS technology is they use an active tuned mass module. It's a canister that's installed on each side of the frame, and when energized, cancels out any noise or vibration you might get when you go into 4-cylinder mode. You guys can detect when you go into 4-cylinder mode in older models, right? That's why that 1500 is so smooth, and that's why the 2500 with gas is going to be so smooth, because it cancels out any of that 4-cylinder vibration you might get. Right? So, pretty cool stuff. Now, inside, you're going to get some upgraded technologies. We're going to offer our customer the 8.4-inch radio, which we've had, but our all-new class-exclusive 12-inch touchscreen radio, which is going to feature 4C navigation, connected services, Wi-Fi hotspot, Sirius XM 360 programming. How many of you have experienced that? Pretty sweet, right? Over 5,000 hours of on-demand content, being able to be able to stream that to the vehicle. One of the other cool things about it, like you go into a car wash, you usually lose your satellite signal. Now you have the ability to just stream that over the internet and continue listening to your program. Having that Sirius XM 360 also gives you access to Sirius XM All Access, which is going to give you the smartphone app so that you can listen to your favorite music, sports, talk, whatever. Pause that content, get in the vehicle, and when you start it up, the radio asks if you want to continue listening to that program. It's pretty impressive and pretty important when I'm listening for my favorite football team, whether they're winning or losing, right? So definitely is some nice content for our customer. I'm not even going to ask the question, but I'll point it out. You probably noticed there's something missing from the front fender on the passenger side. What is it? The aerial mast. We no longer have that. You'll notice the antennas are on the forward of the cab. And the reason they're on the forward of the cab versus the back of the cab like they are on halftime is for ladder racks and upfits. So we move all those antennas to the front of the cab so that it keeps that back of the cab nice and clean. One of the other things that I love about the interiors, you get a distinct interior depending on the trim level, and of course you get into that limited, you get heated and ventilated seats, the heated steering wheel, all those kinds of things that are tied to your remote start, up to 6 auxiliary upfitter switches, or auxiliary switches to run some of that auxiliary equipment you might have on the vehicle, whether it's your big yellow globe for snow plows or running some of the power equipment for your snow plow up front, or maybe some PTO equipment that you might have on the vehicle. So definitely a nice touch there right on the dash. Another nice thing that I love inside is the sound systems. Of course, we offer up to a 9-speaker sound system, but we now have, for 2019, a 17-speaker, 750-watt Harman Kardon sound system. If any of you ever experienced the 19-speaker sound system in the halftime, you already know what I'm talking about here. This is a really great sound system for that audiophile. Somebody who loves the deep, rich sound or theater quality sound right in the interior of the vehicle. These things are world class. You've got to have a world class sound system to go with it, right? Absolutely. Now, a couple of quick things that I want to mention for this vehicle is that it's going to give you the ability to have spray and bed liners on all models. And then there on the back, every 25 and 3500 comes standard with a Class 5 receiver, and on 2500 capable of 20,000 pounds of rear bumper towing, so to speak, and 23,000 pounds on 3500, which is awesome. But for the customer that needs more, they can step into a fifth wheel or gooseneck setup right from the factory with us. The big competitive advantage for us is that not only is it clean, has a nice fit and finish, is that we give our customer both packages in one unit. So they get the hole in the center for that gooseneck setup, or they get the 4 corner holes for that picture frame so they can drop in their fifth wheel receiver hitch and be able to tow both types of trailers with one vehicle. Another competitive advantage is what we do with the frame back there for that. The cross member is already built into the frame, so even for customers who don't opt for the fifth wheel package now, they can come back, have it done at the dealership, but we don't have to take the box off, chop up the frame, and then put that cross member in there like the competition does. So we're definitely a leg up on those guys, because that'll save your customer over $1,000 for that modification. It comes standard on every heavy duty. All right. Now the last thing I want to talk about before I turn it over to Tracy is the Power Wagon. We're going to bring the Power Wagon back into 2019. A really impressive truck. It's the most off-road capable truck on the market, and that's because of its front rear lock rear axles, electronically disconnecting sway bar link right up front, which gives you 9 more inches of front axle articulation, help you get over some of the largest obstacles. And it's also 30 pounds lighter over the front axle, because we get rid of the steel cable for that 12,000 pound Warn winch and bring in synthetic rope. And so it's just as capable, but a lot lighter and a lot safer. All right, so definitely a nice thing. Your customer's also going to get a great suspension system on that truck. It's going to have Bilstein shocks. It's going to give them a 2-inch lift, skid plates underneath the belly, and you're still going to get those awesome Goodyear Wrangler Duratrack tires to grip some of the most aggressive terrain that there is out there. And the last thing I'll mention is the suspensions on all these trucks. They come with a frequency responsive dampening shock absorber on all 4 corners, and it depends on the series of truck as to some of the availability of some features. Like on the 2500, you get a standard 5-link or multi-link setup there in the rear with coil springs, which gives you that car-like ride. However, for customers that have a towing need or want some load leveling, we can opt for the active level load leveling suspension there in the rear. The airbags replace the coil springs there in the rear, help soften that load, but also give the customer 3 driver selectable modes, and they can go into either a bed lowering mode, so they can load some of the cargo into the box, or they can go into normal and payload mode, which is going to give them a little bit more support when they've got some heavy stuff there in the back. Or they can go into towing mode, which also helps level out the rear when you hook a heavy trailer to the back of the truck. So that's a nice piece. On the 3500, we still use the Hotchkiss leaf springs there in the rear. They're variable rate springs, but for customers that are hauling those heavy loads, we can also offer them a rear supplemental airbag system. It's kind of like a helper bag that goes along with those leaf springs to help soften that load, whether it's low, or soften the ride, whether it's loaded or unloaded. Because as you know, those leaf springs, as capable as they are, they're not sometimes road friendly when it's unloaded. Those supplemental airbags help soften a lot of that. And of course, all these trucks are backed by a great warranty and maintenance schedule. Our gasoline engines have a 5-year, 60,000 mile powertrain warranty. Our diesel engines have a 5-year, 100,000 mile powertrain warranty. The diesel has a best-in-class oil change interval of how many miles? 15,000, absolutely. And our gas engines? 10,000, that's absolutely right. All right, so what do you guys think of the heavy duties? Awesome stuff, right? All right, so we have a little bit of time left. I'm going to turn you over to Tracy, and Tracy's going to walk you through the most upfit-friendly truck on the market.
Y'all give it up for Billy. You do a great job or what? So I'm going to take a little bit of time and talk with you about the 2018 Ram chassis, because the new one's not due out until next month. What you need to know is that the business end of this thing isn't going to change a lot. I'm not going to talk about the future product, but Ram's got it right, do they not? How do you guys like the chassis? They work, don't they? Absolutely. How many of you are new to commercial sales? Raise your hand. So we have a few in the room. The rest of you, you've been around these chassis for a while, haven't you? What do you like about them? Don't answer at once. Flat frame rails. What is it? Yeah, flat frame rails, 34-inch industry standard spacing. I was talking to a guy that is a truck guru. He's like the Zen master of trucks. And he shared with me that the 34-inch spacing on those frame rails go all the way back to covered wagons. How about that? That is an industry standard. Why do we do it? Because Ford does it, GM does it, we do it. It's for upfitter friendliness. So that's what I want to spend a little bit of time with you on this morning, is the business end of this truck, okay? You all know that it features, 4 different fuel-efficient powertrains, 2 gas, 2 diesel, a choice of transmissions. Not much longer will you have the stick shift, but you do have the 6-speed automatic as well as the Ischen heavy-duty 6-speed automatic. Billy talked a little bit about the powertrains. They're a little bit different setup than these, but understand, legendary Cummins, that's what a majority of your customers go for. But the 6.4 liter gas engine was a great move for us in the marketplace, putting that big liter, big gas Hemi out there for our customers. Not everybody's a diesel customer. But what really matters is where you come around to the back side of this. Having 4 different cab to axle lengths, having gross vehicle weight ratings, gross axle weight ratings. Y'all ready for me to quote out all these numbers? Yeah. No, I can see it already. A bunch of people are shaking their heads. Everybody got your handout you were given when you came in? Y'all keep the handout close to you. Here's the reason why. The information that's provided to you are the gross axle weight ratings, the gross combined weight ratings, vehicle weight ratings, the different ratings that you need for cab to axle. You know, there's 3 weight classes. There's 35, there's 45, there's 55. All these powertrain choices. What we provided you with was the information that you need to help your customer make the right choice into which chassis that they need. Does everybody agree? So we're not going to sit here and talk about 0.9s this morning. We're going to talk about why is this truck so upfitter friendly. First thing out of the gate, several years back, Ram went to a lot of chassis upfitters. They went to the men and the women that build these upfits. They said, if you could design a chassis, what would you do differently? And man, the responses were overwhelming. Number 1 out of the gate is the flat frame rails. Why? It's easier to mount any different type of configuration on the back of the vehicle. Also, the 34-inch frame rail spacing. They can take a service body or a bed off of one and move it over to another one, which is another great feature to have. Such things as the cross-member spacing, the U-bolt holes. One of the things that I found out that a lot of sales consultants don't know about are the U-bolt access holes that are drilled from the front to the back of this frame. How many of you knew they were there? Very good. What does that access do for the upfitter? Yeah, it allows them to clamp on all different styles of bodies and clamp on hardware that they need to put on there. They're all the way down the frame rail. When you look at the rear part of the frame, and we'll start at the rear, we'll kind of work our way forward. Number 1, don't forget, 50,000 PSI high-strength steel is what that rear frame is made out of. Brag about that because it's built to do the job. It's built to take the punishment of the weight and the service body, whatever may be on the back of it. But here's what they did. Here's some of the things that they really, really and truly thought about. Located in the rear right here, this tag says park assist, and this tag says camera. Trucks are already wired, they're ready for it, they're back here. The nice thing about that is for the upfitter, no matter what type of body they put on the back of this, they have the opportunity to locate park sense and the rear camera wherever it needs to be. Y'all ever looked at a several-year-old commercial truck? What does the back of that truck look like? That's exactly right. Thank you, guys. That truck is beat on the back. Bumpers are bent, doors are bent, because they back up until when? Impact. That's exactly right. They back up to deductible. Well, having this type of safety technology on these trucks can help prevent that, especially when you're coming out of a dock or whatever it may be, being able to have that visibility. And they're conveniently located. We talk about the flat frame rails. That is a win-win situation for all different types of configurations. But think about this. Think about plumbing and electrical. Here's something that we learned years back. It does not need to be exposed above the frame rail. And if you look at old chassis from years back, you would see the exhaust would be out over the frame. You would see a lot of electrical harnesses, plumbing, hydraulics, everything above that frame rail. If it's above the frame rail, what does the upfitter have to do?
Relocate it.
They got to relocate it. They got to move it, which costs what?
Money.
Time and money both. So having an upfit-friendly chassis saves your customers time and money. Bring that up to them. You'll notice how Billy's kind of standing. Everything is below the frame rail, and that's the way it should be. I also like to talk about fuel capacity. It has the 52-gallon rear-mounted tank, which is best in class. And there's also another tank that's available which is the midship. How many gallons? 22 gallons, which combined gives you a best-in-class of 74 gallons of fuel. What does that allow the driver or operator to do?
Drive all day.
They can stay on the road longer and they can get the job done without having to stop frequently for fill-ups and service. Also, as Billy brought up earlier, I'm just going to re-mention it. On our diesels, best in class of up to how many's on oil change? How many miles? 15. And what was it on the gas?
10.
Up to 10. That also is a cost of ownership. It's a savings, and it keeps them on the road longer. Now, I have to talk about the brakes, do I not, Bill? Because I really and truly get excited about the brakes on our chassis. Remember, on 3500, you're looking at massive, huge 14-inch rotors. And then on 45, 5500, you're looking at 15-inch rotors. Why are the brakes so big?
Hauling a lot of weight.
You have a lot of weight. That's exactly right. What you're pulling and moving, you also need to be able to do what? You need to be able to stop it. The reason why we use such massive brakes, and by the way, it's four-wheel disc ABS all the way around. You've got more sweeping area, more stopping power, and they can also cool quicker as well. Their ABS, they also feature brake assist, ready alert braking, trailer damping. All these safety systems are built into the brakes. So not only can you move the load, you can also stop it as well. And we get pretty excited about that when it comes to stopping a heavy vehicle. Let's talk a little bit more about what you should really and truly point out as value when it comes to the diesels. Because this is a pretty big story for you. The upfitters love this. When you have the diesel models, they're going to have some emission equipment on them that we all love, right? What do we got to have? We got to have diesel exhaust fluid. I can see everybody going, yeah. Hey, at least we held out as long as we did, right? We got to have diesel exhaust fluid. We also have to have SCR, or selective catalyst reduction. I call it the diesel catalytic converter. Is everybody with me? All of that equipment is located under the chassis of Ram. This is the SCR, or the selective catalyst reduction, the catalytic converter for the diesel. Located here, down low, out of the way of any upfit, and away from heat, keeping heat from the upfit. You'll see the DEF tank is located nice and neatly up underneath the cab with easy access right over here on the side. Anybody know where you access GM's DEF?
Engine.
Under the hood. Convenient, isn't it? Over there. So these are the things that Ram thought about when they built this chassis to make it user-friendly, operator-friendly. Because after all, it's a rolling business. So it's an office, that's what it is. Now, when you think about what is some of the value that's built into Ram chassis, there's a lot of things to talk about. How many of you knew there was 5 available radios in this truck? 5. You can go anywhere from an AM, FM, just a regular 3.0 radio, all the way up to a best-in-class 8.4-inch screen that includes navigation systems. So all this stuff is a win-win. You've got Bluetooth, satellite radio. When you go to the 8.4, the 4C radios, you've got the Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Series iFree, voice recognition, color screens, touch screen. Then you go to the navigation, you've got Travel Link. I mean, it's just overwhelming what you can offer your customer as far as technology inside. Something else is that the cabin is business focused. Y'all ever seen how many storage spaces are inside these trucks? There is a place for them to rat hole anything they want to put anywhere, and good luck trying to find it later. But you know, they focus on things like the heavy duty vinyl that's in the seating system, so it will stand up to the test of time. The cab, there's 2 different configurations of the cab. You got your regular cab, which is your 2-door, and you have your 4-door or your crew cab. So we've got a cab that fits both ways. When you think about trim levels, 3 different trim levels: Tradesman, SLT, and Laramie. That's exactly right. So you have the Laramie option available to you as well. And as Billy had restated, you know, all this is backed up by a great warranty. Our gas engines are 5 years, 60,000 mile, limited powertrain. Diesel is 5-year, 100,000. That's exactly right. Limited powertrain. And then, of course, both trucks feature, or all the trucks feature, the 3-year, 36,000 mile bumper to bumper limited warranty. So that's going to give peace of mind to your customers. And don't forget about the benefits of enrolling them in BusinessLink. Because what are some of the benefits they get from BusinessLink?
Next day service.
Next in service in Bay. What else? Loaner car. Shuttle service. Extended service hours. And much, much more. So keep in mind the value when you're talking with your customers about our chassis versus the competition. Keep in mind the value that you have to show to them and to help them make the right decisions. So with that said, I'm going to end the presentation there. We're going to bring up Mr. Dave Sowers from Ram, and we're going to do a quick Q&A session to answer some of the questions. Guys, ladies, what do y'all think about the chassis? Very good. Thank you all.
Still have a question? You were our first one, I remember.
You answered it for me. I was curious about if there was going to be an 8-speed automatic transmission with the diesel.
8-speed for the diesel, I wouldn't know about any future endeavor for that. I know it's standard with our gas. Maybe Dave can speak to that.
At this point in time, the 8-speed transmission is the standard for heavy duty with the 6.4. We haven't announced anything on chassis cab yet, but since you can order them starting on this past Monday, you can see that it's 8-speed as well, standard with gas. And then on the heavy duty truck, you've got a 6-speed automatic with the normal output diesel, and then you have the upgraded Aisin transmission with the high output. And then on chassis cab, you'll have an optional Aisin on gas and the standard Aisin on diesel. There isn't a plan to put an 8-speed on the diesel at this point.
Awesome. Over here.
The price point, pricing hasn't been announced yet, and the code guides will be published on Dealer Connect are unpriced. We are going to announce the pricing at the beginning of our short lead media program, which I believe is the second week of February is when the pricing will come out. What you can expect is somewhere between 1 to 3% price increase from the outgoing model. There is a little bit more on the limited because we brought in more standard equipment, for example, LED headlamps and the safety features, etc. So.
Over here.
I know it's lane availability, but will the tire pressure monitoring for the trailers be available for the tradesmen, and will the camera be available for the tradesmen?
Yes and yes. I should point out that this truck here is a tradesman, and